do some things that we love and enjoy. And that is simply because Toastmasters provides us all with a supportive and a positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills. What does this result in? It results in greater self confidence and personal growth. This being the purpose for which we all get together, Leadership Speak in itself is a premier club dedicated to Toastmasters who intend to become better self directed leaders. We are an advanced club that focuses on leadership development with the four key values of Toastmasters: integrity, respect, service, and excellence. That being said, now let's get on to the meeting proper and to helm the affairs of today's meeting. We have someone who's been on the Toastmasters journey for over half a decade now. And in his day job, he is someone that is explicitly paid to find faults with everyone else and ensure that they don't make the same mistake again and again. He's a risk and controls management professional with one of the leading banks in the UAE, and he's been doing this for the past 27 years. Somewhere along the line, he also found that he would like to explore his leadership and communication skills, which is why he joined Toastmasters about 6 years back. And in the last year, has held the role of a club president at Universe Toastmasters Club in Abu Dhabi, UAE. He is also extensively trained in leadership and public speaking. And today, it's our privilege to have Toastmaster Mohmad Asif Saiyed as our Toastmaster of the day. Let's welcome him up to the virtual podium with a loud round of applause. Toastmaster Asif Saiyed, the stage is all set for you.
Hello, Toastmaster friends from all over the globe. It's good morning, good evening from wherever you are. It's Christmas time. And in the Christmas time, what comes to our mind? I remember this cap which suggests the Santa Claus cap. Santa Claus, what does Santa Claus denote? Christmas gifts. I really love gifts. Don't you all love gifts? Isn't it? What else do we love about Christmas? Christmas is a festival where you rejuvenate yourself, find out your inner self by connecting with whatever religious ideology you must be following, and you uplift yourself spiritually. What else comes to our mind when we think about Christmas? Yes, Christmas is a time to be enjoying yourself, making friends, meeting our near ones and dear ones, relatives, partying. So what all this has to do with our Toastmasters? Well, at Leadership Speak, it's a premier club where we are going to work on building our leadership skills to a more higher level. And what a brilliant opportunity it is with us today that we are going to celebrate not only Christmas and festivals and holidays we're going to talk about as a theme. It's so important, vital for a leader. What? It's so vital for a leader to equip himself or herself with all that energy, because if your cup is full, it's only then when you can give out to other people. If you are very happy, it's only then when you can spread out the happiness. If you have all the energy, then only you can lend your energetic energy to other people and lead them towards achieving success. So it's so important to celebrate festivals. And not only celebrate festivals, know about other people's festivals so that we understand them and we build a relationship with them. And we can connect to them on a deeper level. More important in enjoying festivals and holidays is, let's say, give and take. If you receive all the blessings from the Lord, if you get all the warmth and feelings and love and connection from your near one and dear ones, and then we start moving towards those people in deficit, the people who are deprived of love, who are deprived of that even basic food, who are deprived of the shelter, and we can lead and provide them that comfort that support, and not only that, most importantly, in building communities. Toastmaster is a community building platform. It's such a safe platform where we can come and build up this leadership skills. We can build up our connection. In this current role of being a Toastmaster of the day, I built so many connections with so many of our Toastmasters. Previously, I just knew them, but I started building a connection with them. So it's so important that we really enjoy ourselves, we let down ourselves as leaders so that we take off all that burden from our head and we feel energetic and feel that passion. And with that passion, then we drive not only ourselves to a higher limits, but we help all our people around us to move up and scale up to the next level of leadership. So with this, I believe in today's meeting, we will go through, whenever opportunities arise, we'll talk about leadership and enjoyment. Now, I take the opportunity to invite Toastmaster DTM Brahm Memon to raise the toast.
Hello, hello, hello. Ho, 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 ho. Good morning, everyone. I bring mirth and cheer. Mirth? Yes, absolutely mirth. Are you all laughing? Are you all happy? This is Christmas Eve. Let's see all your smiles first. That could be forced smiles. I don't care if they are forced, but if they are like real, genuine smiles, like because it is Christmas Eve, I would love that even better. So let's hear you all say go ho, 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 especially Tony. Tony will start us off. Tony.
Ho, ho, ho!
Yes, and everybody else?
Oh, oh,
I love that. Okay. Merry Christmas, everyone. Merry Christmas. But not a Happy New Year yet. Few more days for that one, and we will then wish you a Happy New Year. But ladies and gentlemen, today's theme is all about leadership and what we learn in leadership in the holidays. And if we are not learning how to celebrate and have fun and just let loose on a Christmas Eve, then who are we but some idiots? Oops, did I say that? Like automatons, and we don't want to be that, right? Like we are known to be the global leaders here, right in this very room. Global leaders, and we are known as that, and everybody flocks to this club. They ask me, Brahm, can I come to your club? Manju said, she was knocking on the door hard, breaking the door open, saying, I want to be a member here. I said, okay, we'll think about it. Now, of course, we let her in. So there she is. Welcome, Manju. And then, of course, I invited Hadi Abdulkader to be a speaker here today because he's incredible as the contest chair in a club that I was visiting in Dubai, I believe. So now, ladies and gentlemen, what do we learn from Christmas? A few thoughts for the season for the leader in you. Let's exercise your fun, the sense of fun when you're with your family and friends and you're sitting around the dinner table having Christmas dinner, have empathy and fun and love and listen. It's not all about you and your discomfort. It's about the other person. That's what a leader is, to initiate mirth and to get people to open up and inspire and uplift them. Isn't that one of our mandates here? Self-directed leadership means to do that. And so have empathy, be graceful, and be thankful for this time of the year. Have that turkey or that eggplant, whichever it is, that you prefer. But of course, you can speak your truth fearlessly, but with integrity behind it, so people actually get you rather than, be taken aback by where you're coming from. And then be grateful for what you've received this year and appreciate what everyone else has that you may not have, but appreciate what they have rather than saying, oh, I need this and they have that. And, when people get presents and so on. So appreciate what people have. And of course, just be a leader. Being a leader is good. So Merry Christmas, everyone. Ho, 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 ho. Back to you, Mohmad, Asif, Saiyed.
Did I miss
Thank
the
you.
toast?
Yes, and you did miss a toast. So, ladies and gentlemen, back to me. And so, if you will all now join me in a toast to these world-famous leaders that are gathered here today, having some fun. Raise your glass and repeat after me. Ho, 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 leadership speak.
Ho, 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 leadership speak.
Thank you very much. And back to you, Mr. Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you for the toast, Didi and Bram. And now we're here. Ho, ho, ho. When we say ho, 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 it just quickly reminds me, whenever I feel a bit sad, today along with the word Mirth and ho, 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 it's a very powerful, quick laughter yoga. Is everybody ready? It's just going to take 30 seconds for us to energize ourselves. 30 seconds, everybody ready? What is laughter yoga? We are just going to all laugh. Please unmute all of you. Everybody unmute yourself. And we're just going to imagine we are all cranky guys and we're going to just laugh aloud. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Look at Nazim.
That's what I do. We are in a risk management profession. We are, surrounded by all kind of risk, and it's a very kind of a gloomy kind of a profession. Whenever I'm stressed out, I just do this laughter yoga. But obviously, I don't get a chance to shout out, laugh out loudly. But I go to the washroom and I'm just doing, and that's the way I just release all my stress. So the best person I'm going to invite now, who is expert at laughter, Sandra works, not only a grammarian, she is going to talk about the word of the day, but an expert smile strategist.
It worked. Oh. I love to laugh. You didn't know that. But I did choose Mirth to go along with the festivities, and I'm going to be watching to make sure that everybody's having some fun today. Because if I can't be laughing and having fun, I don't want to do it. It works for me. Today, the word is mirth, and it's a cause for merriment. I have to read it because it's backwards on my screen. A cheerful festivity with laughter in her eyes. They laughed and they were gay, not because there was any reason to laugh, but because gaiety and mirth was in their hearts. And so everything that happened was a cause for gaiety and laughter to them. I have to say that I've laughed a lot in my lifetime, and I've done a lot of crying too. And laughter's much better. And with that, I'm going to be watching just that everybody has a good time today. Merry Christmas. Over to you, Toastmaster. Oh, yes, grammarian. I guess I'm supposed to do something else too. I've been marking down some naughty and nice things here, like a little bit of pronunciation and a little bit of ahs and ums, but they're very hard to find here. I'll do my report later. Thank you. Ho, ho, ho. Over to you.
Thank you, Sandra, for making us laugh, and we feel that we're going to use the word mirth, ho, 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 and going to increase our vocabulary. I invite now our next role player, Toastmaster Ashwati, to describe that timer rule.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster of the Day. Hello, everyone. So I am playing the role of timer today. I'll be helping you all to manage your speeches within the time. So for 20-minute speech, I'll be showing green at 18, amber at 19, and red at 20 minutes. For 12-minute speech, I'll be showing green at 10 minutes, amber at 11 minutes, and green and and red at 12 minutes. And for all the speeches 5 to 7 minutes, I'll be showing green at 5 minutes, amber at 6 minutes, and red at 7 minutes. For the evaluation speeches, I'll be showing green at 2, amber at 2 minutes 30 seconds, and red at 3 minutes. So I'll be presenting my report towards the end of the meeting while called upon by the general evaluator. Thank you. Over to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Ashwati, for the timing rules. Now, our first speaker today is Toastmaster Bindhu Joseph, heading the oncology unit. At the same time, she is calls herself as a reluctant leader and a perfectionist at heart, is still planning to fit into those brand new shoes to the best of her ability. Now, today her topic is on the topic of reaching consensus during this project. She is going to have a panel. So I call upon her evaluator Manju Manohar to give more brief about her project. Welcome, Toastmaster Bindhu and Toastmaster Manju Manohar.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster of the Day, Mohmad Asif Saiyed. So, hi everyone, wishing you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year well in advance. So here I am to evaluate Bindhu Joseph's speech, and the purpose of her project is for the member to work with a group to practice reaching consensus on any topic. So in this particular speech, she's actually working with the Toastmasters group. So there are two parts to this particular project, of which she would be doing the one with the group which is pertaining to Toastmasters. So as an evaluator, I would be focusing on the evaluation on the members' ability to facilitate and maintain a discussion to reach consensus. The time is limited to a maximum of 20 minutes, which I think the timer is already aware of. And at the end of that time, consensus may or may not be reached. So my evaluation would be based on the process of reaching consensus and the members' ability to work well with the group. So I wish Toastmaster Bindhu Joseph all the best. And the topic, should I be announcing, or would the Toastmaster of the day be announcing that?
Okay, I take it.
Okay.
So I invite Toastmaster Bindhu Joseph. The boss is always right, or is he? Toastmaster Bindhu Joseph.
Boss, teacher, principal, chairman, president, all synonyms. What do all of them have in common? They're all leaders, leaders in their own fish pond, ocean, or sea. And as leaders, they all have a vision, a futuristic vision. And they probably have a specific strategy to lead their herd to their vision. But the fact is, the current era, we are facing an era of change, an era of emotional awareness, of political awareness. The herd is more aware. So the question arises, do they really need a leader? Or in what perspective do they need a leader? And today, we will just find out exactly that. Now, I didn't say emotional awareness, but the fact is there are other elements to it. Now, we all know leaders who are good, who are effective, who inspire us, motivate us. In fact, I'm sure a lot of you are one of those sort of leaders. So you will be facing some of the challenges that I'm going to describe here. I talked about a leader's vision. Well, today it is going to be challenged by a group's vision, the gray area of leadership that you're going to face in the immediate future. I'm talking about 2023. So when I said emotional awareness, what I forgot to mention is, or what is the other shade of gray that I'm talking about is emotional insecurity, attention deficit. We are in an era where people change their minds regarding their intention, their goal, their ambitions In fact, I have friends who change their goals as often as they change their shoes. I hope none of you are among that. I can see a few smiles, at least sometime in your life. And emotional insecurity, don't get me started on it. Why do we have emotional? Endless reasons. Well, what about what's the technology? Today in the current era, if you're not up to date, you're lost, hopelessly lost. You might even lose your job. And then let's talk about that naughty little virus who has more names than your favorite film actress or film actor. I mean, an outbreak, just a whiff of an outbreak, and you might even lose your job. So in this particular era, what about the other perspective? Maybe you really require a leader with a vision, a clearer focus to show you the way. So these two gray areas are what we are going to touch upon here today. And I have two esteemed invited panelists who are going to speak on these two shades, as well as a surprise panelist from the audience. Yes, from all of you. So listen carefully and listen well, because your turn is also coming. Now, to start off this discussion, my first panelist, Yatsu, I think everyone has already guessed. He is the epitome and model of what he stands for and what he coaches. Innovative, visionary leadership. For my first panelist, I would like to invite none other than our president, DTM Brahm, to speak on the other aspect, that is the boss always right? Brahm, I'd like to hear your views, of course, on the general aspect of leadership in 2023, what the vision is, but also just underlying what you feel about that statement, the second half of my statement, is the boss always right? You have 3 minutes. Ashwini will help me with the timing.
Thank you very much. Is the boss always right? I will talk from the perspective of a large organization and not Toastmasters, because this is where I come from. I work in large organizations. I'm a chartered accountant. I worked across 3 continents, over 50 years of work experience. Yeah, that's right. So I'll speak from that. And is the boss always right? Well, I would say no, because my mainstay as a consultant to large organizations is because the boss was not always right. They were wrong, or sometimes they didn't even know how to connect with the teams, and that's why they called on me as a consultant to go in and problem shoot stuff. And that's where I made my money, because there was no connection between the boss and the workers. It was minor problems that highly qualified professionals could have sorted out very easily, applying a little bit of sense and time. But because, as you said, people are emotionally insecure and endless reasons. And one of the endless reasons is that people are very, very busy. Their minds are going all over the place. You know, we live in an era of have it all, be it all, experience it all. And so it seeps into the workplace and everywhere else in our lives. You open the TV and you are hammered with millions of commercials. If you're in North America, you 200 or 300 channels and perhaps even more nowadays. I don't have a TV, so I don't really know how many channels there are. That's the reason I got rid of the TV, is endless the mind share that the economy wants from you, so that you could buy their stuff, right? And so all that seeps throughout our lives, and at work it really magnifies and amplifies in how people are doing the work, and they're not doing their best work. If you ask Lance Secreton, he will tell you that 80% of the people in large organizations are not even engaged. Is the boss therefore right all the time? No, he's never right, or hardly ever right. And so everything's like a guesswork. And so what you are seeing out there is people are guessing what the direction they're going and what they have to do. So if the boss is not right, then who is right? Is the consensus team right? I think sometimes what we are finding in large organizations currently is that those teams that are highly collaborative and highly performing are much better and much more right than the boss is by himself. Because when there's collaboration happening and all the minds come together and they push away all that programming and that all that stuff that sort of distracts them, then they begin to focus on what really is in front of them and make the best service or product, and therefore their constituents, which is their customers, really enjoy and really like. And so there's very few organizations out there that are able to really deliver on that. Very few organizations. Most of them, for me, it's all mediocre. So is the boss always right? No, he's not always right. It is the organization that is and the community around the boss that is always right, more often than not. Back to you, Bindhu.
Brahm, what a beautiful 3 minutes of something that I had absolutely not expected. I thought you would go the other route. Well, what's it now? I'm a little confused. I feel that the boss is not right. I got that clear. But the group is also not right. So when you have your 2-minute rebuttal, I'm interested in knowing in 2023, what is going to be your solution for the problem that you have put to us in those 3 minutes. Now, for my second panelist, I'm going to invite another special person who is also a life coach, but who has a diametrically almost different approach to it. And her teachings, as well as her teacher, is life's experiences. She invites her students to show up, to stand up, and to speak up. She wants them to take ownership of their leadership style. And this special person is none other than DTM Sandra. Now, Sandra, I am going to invite you to give your opinion on the other half, the one that is a little contradictory to your coaching style. The boss is always right. Yes, I was right. So, Sandra, you have 3 minutes. Let us hear what you have to say.
The boss is always right? Well, that is going to matter about who you think the boss is. Now, I've been in the financial world for many, many years, not a little different. So it's a corporate world, but I'm not in the corporate world. I'm outside of that corporate world. And being self-employed, I'm the boss. So yes, this boss is always right until she falls over, bloodies up her nose, and then she's wrong. Where she gets right, though, is from the experience. She falls down, looks around, and, oh, that didn't work. That's not too smart. I guess I better pick it up here. And I figure out what's the right way to do it. Maybe. Experience has been my go-to. However, at one time I was also a school teacher. So where do we go with that? It's such a blend. When you're a school teacher, you're in your classroom, and yes, I'm the boss, that's my space. But in order for the children to be raised up, they need the rules, they need the structure, but they also need the free thought. My challenge was always, how do I reach in, drag their boss out of themselves? Because at the end of the day, self-leadership is drawing out the best from yourself. That doesn't happen by accident. Sometimes it happens by observation and realizing, oh, I did okay. But that trusting my intuition took a lot of time. And still today, I monitor and check. Because when you're in isolation, you're really not getting that feedback all the time. It's very important to, in my opinion, have the structure. Could you imagine a surgeon cutting me open, taking out my gallbladder, but cutting open my leg to do so? That would not be good. I want that surgeon to be the boss, and I want somebody to have taught that surgeon precisely what had to be done. So there's sometimes when we have to have the actual details, it's critical. That to me would be when here's how you do it, here's how you do it, here's how you do it. That's important. When we turn around and then have to figure out another old beef when I was a teacher, my brother-in-law used to say, oh, ask the teach, she's supposed to know. And that drove me crazy until I realized the answer. This teacher doesn't have to know everything, but I do have to know how to help you go and find the answers. Over to you, Bindhu.
Thank you so much, Sandra. Again, you also surprised me. I did not think you would have so much strength on the responsibility of the boss versus a group. So I'm glad I gave both of you contradictory parts of this statement, contradictory to your usual coaching style. Sandra, now in your 2-minute rebuttal, I want to hear how your philosophy of being the boss, a person who knows and who has a responsibility of guiding your herd, going to change in 2023, because your herd has changed. Now comes the fun time when someone from the floor is going to get an opportunity. But before that, let me tell you why I underwent this exercise, because I wanted all of you to hear this from a leader's point of view, because leaders do make the consensus. However, the most important people regarding a consensus is the people for which the consensus is made for, the audience, the listeners, the group that is involved in the consensus, and that is all of you. What you as leaders are going to face in 2023. Can this challenge be answered for you? Where does the vision lie? Is it the bosses? Do you have more responsibilities as a leader to guide your herd? A herd that has, as Brahm has said, a lot of problem with attention deficit. Do you have to, then again, he has given the other aspect also. Do you have to put more heed onto your group and their suggestions, and may even have to change according to that, as Sandra has pointed out, the adjustability, the flexibility. I want you to think of all these because those statements are going to come to you later. But for now, I want to take some volunteer. I'd like a raise of hands. Yes, Sudarshan, you're the first one. You are smart and sharp. And also, luckily, you're going to provide me a perspective from the other side of the globe, the Asian perspective. Now, you have the opportunity to either comment on either what the first panelist or the second panelist has said, or you can give an opinion all on your own. Sudarshan, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much.
Also have 3 minutes.
Thank you. We've heard 2 excellent points of view, and I fall smack bang in the middle. What Brahm said resonates with me extensively. I've been on the corporate side of the world, and I've seen experts like Brahm come in and literally, like Santa Claus, sweep the chimney of the soot and ensure that everything runs to plan. I've also seen what Sandra said in terms of you being put in a position of responsibility, like I have been for the last 18 odd years, where you are expected and paid for taking decisions, and those decisions impact a lot of people. But if I look back to the toast that Brahm made today, and he talked about a whole slew of things, one of those elements which I believe differentiates a leader from a boss is the word trust. A boss who trusts his own failings more than his accomplishments. A boss that trusts that my team also could know better than I could. A boss that trusts that I don't have an answer and I need to invite an expert like Brown is that boss who's going to succeed. I don't think an individual who decides I know everything and I will do it my way or it's the highway, invariably that person will find himself pounding the highway mile after mile after mile, reaching absolutely nowhere. The example that I give, because I'm based out of Dubai, is that if you are a car that leaves Dubai without having a map in front of you, you don't know whether you are going to Abu Dhabi or Ras Al Khaimah, and invariably you'll run out of fuel somewhere in the middle. And that's precisely what happens all around us. If you look at the economy today, the rate of failure of companies started by bright young individuals is about 92%. So 92% of business ventures that begin in all earnestness to transform the world, so to speak, collapse because ultimately these are people who are shackled by their fear of failure, their fear of losing respect, their fear of giving up, or their fear of asking for help. And this is where I believe the boss is right if he chooses or she chooses to seek help, and the boss is also wrong if the boss chooses to only rely on external help. Because ultimately, my core philosophy has always been that things that get done because you want it done. Any other external input might not serve your purpose. But this is one thing which will always abide by all sorts of difficulties, which is that your ultimate passion to go to where you want to go to. And for that, if you need an expert like Brahm, by all means. For that, if you need to be a lone wolf like Sandra, by all means. But find your path and walk on it. Back to you.
Thank you, Sudarshan. Oh my gosh, I think you should be standing here in my shoes and giving this consensus with Sid report. But today it's going to be my shoes and not yours. But you have done a beautiful summary of what both the panelists have tried to express. But now it is their time to give a small rebuttal, also analyze what you have said. So first of all, I'd like to call DTM Brahm. I'd like to hear your answer to the question I gave you earlier, as well as maybe a comment on what the other two panelists had to say on this topic.
Thank you. We heard that if you are the boss and you are on your own, then you learn from your experiences, and your experiences do count. And, you know, one of the things is that, you know, I don't know, I think it's in most corporate worlds now and everywhere globally, is that when the person gets older, more than 45, 50, 55, they are not valued in a company, but they have the wisdom and the experience. Right. And so when I look at Sandra and when she's talking about that sort of thing, experience, that is so very important. Experience really counts. And they have something that nobody else does when people are have been around for a while, that they bring to the table, and they have to be heard. Now, as far as Sudarshan is concerned and what he said, I totally agree that, you know, there is all sorts of things are happening, right? And we need to find a median way. But what I want to say is this, however, how do we resolve this problem of ineffectiveness, bosses or with teams and so on and so forth? And you will find that it's being exemplified currently in Leadership Speak. This is why we created this club, and we are trying to reach globally through the Global Leadership Impact Summit and bring a message that the key message is to connect. There's no connection. And especially now in this world where we are living virtually, and a lot of people and employees want to work from home because you heard of the Great Resignation, isolation is a key problem. And even when we were meeting in the physical meetings, you know, the real connection was never there, or people would just connect in small little groups, and there would be isolated groups in a club to begin with. And so it is in corporations as well. And it's amplified, especially in Toastmasters currently, as you can see it on the dashboard. So To connect is something that we really need to understand. What does it mean? It doesn't mean saying, hey, hi, how are you? You know, I need this and I need that, and people will do it. No, they will not do it. Connection is something totally different, and we need to really get into it, but we don't have the time for it today. But connect is the key word, and you will keep hearing that from me in this club as well. Back to you, Bindhu.
Thank you, Brahm. Now I'm going to directly jump in and ask Sandra to give her 2-minute rebuttal, which follows the same principle. You can do it just as I had specified for Brahm. Over to you, Sandra.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a beautiful subject today. Consensus is amazing, and I love all the views. I think for me, what it has all boiled down to is that we are all, each of us, masculine and feminine. We all have all of it inside us. We happen to live more demonstrably in one of those regions generally. But when women on the feminine side comes out, it's more circle and gathering and inclusion. When the male side, the masculine side comes out, it's more directive and get the job done. It's a beautiful combination that I think we all need to embrace. As leaders, either leaders of others because you're bosses, or leaders of ourselves because we're self-employed, it is critical that we honor both the feminine and the masculine. Do what needs to be done when it needs to be done, do it accurately, and then be gentle with ourselves and pull out the best of everybody within the feminine side. That blend is going to make a beautiful world. Thank you for this topic. Back to you, Bindhu.
Thank you, Sandra. And now, dear friends, the floor and the opportunity is yours. I'm going to give you 3 statements which I feel have been amplified by our 3 panelists, and I want all of you to type in the chat box Y or N. That is for yes or no. And I am privileged to have our VP Education, Marianne, to take the scores for me. I will again read out the statements and we'll see how we score on this particular consensus. Now, the first statement is mainly what has been amplified by Brahm. The most important way forward in 2023 is to realize the social inattention, social media, the distractions that the group, that the herd is facing. And it is more important than ever before to connect with the group. Yes or no? Now, the second statement. The second statement is about the onus. It's again was brought forward by Sandra. This is the onus on the leader. The leader requires more skills in 2023. The leader has to be more flexible, has to be more educated, something that we are going to learn in this club, I'm sure, in 2023. Do you agree that the responsibility in 2023 does hold on the boss? Because for the boss to be right, he has to know how to be right. Yes or no? And now the third and final statement, Sudarshan's gem. It all tones down to EQ, EQ of the boss, the emotional intelligence. Because the boss has to understand himself, he has to also understand his group. He has to know when his herd is suffering, the emotional insecurity, everything that is happening with the herd, in the current, in the future, it is an ongoing process. He has to understand what he is facing and understand his abilities, his limitations, grow and expand on it. Yes or no? It depends on the EQ of the boss. Okay, for the lack of time, I'm just going to go a little fast here. Mariana, can you first give us the votes for the first question?
Yes, Bindu, the first question, everybody said yes.
Okay, so everyone does agree that in 2023, connection is the most important aspect, or one of the most important aspect that is going to improve a leader's role and make him define his vision more clearly. Mariana, can you now give the answer or the score for the second question?
The second question, we had 2 no's and everybody else said yes.
Again, we have a majority. So yes, back to the leader. It has to be, the leader has to be flexible, has to be aware, and his or her education should be a continuing process. And for the final statement that
third
I'd like
question?
to have,
We had 1 no and everybody else said yes.
I'm very interested in this one no, but what's it, for the lack of time, I can't ask who is given that one no. EQ. So all of you leaders out there, that should be the goal in 2023. Heighten your EQ, and that is going to solve all these problems because it is going to help you connect better. It's going to help you understand when that connection is crucial. It's going to help you improve on yourself. Be flexible, move with the group, for the group, and as well as lead the group. So I think we have a universal consensus here. Yes, the boss is right, but the group also can be right. And the boss, if he is right, he has to take the responsibility of what right actually means and deserve that responsibility to say that the boss is right. Back to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Well, a fantastic panel discussion. Now we move on to our next.
That deserves a
Speaker.
round of applause.
Yes,
Yes, where is the applause?
that's when I like us all to be unmuted. That was a big project.
A big project, 20 minutes. Well, so we move on to our second speaker. Our second speaker is Ray Rivero. Ray is based out of Detroit, Michigan. And well, in his spare time, he's a Toastmaster for 11 years, and in his spare time, he enjoys reading and listening to music, especially while walking with his dog. So he's going to present his second speech. And I'm going to introduce the evaluator, Toastmaster Nurul. Toastmaster Nurul will be mentioning about the project details.
And Nurul will not be here. I will be evaluating Ray.
Okay.
So if I may take the place of
yes,
Nurul
Toastmaster
here,
Nurul.
and Ray is speaking from Dynamic Leadership Level 5, reflecting on your path. He's going to be doing a reflection. He's completing his path. Awesome. Congratulations. He's going to share his experience in the path, Dynamic Leadership, and the progress that is made. Back to you.
Toastmaster Ray. Comfort zone of leadership. Toastmaster Ray.
When I started Pathways, I was a member of only one club, a corporate club with less than 12 members. Since that time, I've joined 3 additional clubs, served my district in 3 distinct roles, and today completed my 3rd path in Pathways. Fellow Leadership Speak members and honored guests, how did I expand my comfort zone from just one simple club to embrace a district and go above and beyond. It all has to start within here. A want, a desire to learn more. When I started as a pathways guide, I felt it was important to lead by example. That was why I ended up registering for 1, then 2 paths to learn more about pathways. And as I expanded in my district roles from guide to area director to division director, I started working with more clubs, getting some better ideas. Some ideas from my club could help their club and vice versa. Some ideas from those clubs could help mine and others that I worked with. Then I went to the International Convention in Denver, Colorado in 2019. I was floored, blown away. So many cultures, so many groups from so many countries. And they all have this passion for Toastmasters. And the desire for, and the leadership was just tremendous. And I wanted more. But I didn't feel that I was ready to participate in this big environment, in this brand new world. So back I went to my pathways assessment and came up with dynamic leadership. And my first steps were to review the fundamentals of speeches, to craft one, to put the little touches of layering, and help out other clubs with a little bit of research, starting with the pandemic. That's when my first leadership opportunity arose. Whenever there's a challenge, it's time to step up and take the initiative. In that case, the initiative was helping others learn how to use Zoom. There were too many Toastmasters in my district that weren't familiar with the technology, much less how to use the software. So I did a presentation for my clubs, starting with how to set up Zoom prior to the meeting and how to operate Zoom during the meeting. How many of you are still hearing that you're on mute today? The important lesson I learned is whenever a problem arises, it's an opportunity to take the initiative to help solve the problem. Then came the next level, involving not only leadership, but communication. How can I appear to others? How do I appear to others? And just as important, how do others perceive me? One of the things that I could do was work one-on-one through mentoring. I understood how it was to be a mentee, and I've acquired a lot of knowledge over the years as a Toastmaster in a variety of roles, but how can I best pass that on? That's when I used the Pathways Mentoring Program to give me an idea of how to organize that information. For example, I worked 3 months with a brand new president over in Sweden who just didn't know how to get into the role and start off things. So we both worked together on the club success plan, and we looked at the distinguished club program to find out what the strengths and the weaknesses of the club were over the past few years. This was a presidential distinguished club with one glaring problem. They had problems maintaining new members and keeping them. They were coming in, but they weren't staying. So that was the goal for that president for that particular year. And they became distinguished thanks to a little bit of work together. I also worked with an incoming division director to get more familiar and more comfortable with her role. We worked together over a period of 6 months. I'm glad to say that she did grow in confidence in her role. Then comes the example. As a leader, you have to do things by example. But there was one glaring omission in my Toastmasters experience. I've never participated in a contest at any level. And so what I did is that I was going to use some additional projects to increase my skills to participate in speech contests, such as the International Speech Contest. I'm glad to say that I was able to get from club to area and make it to division. I had my imagination set on winning the world championship, but that was not to be. If I was to explain and describe my experience at the division level, I would use kicking a penalty shot in the World Cup. Can you imagine the goalie? And then all of a sudden the ball gets kicked and the goalie just says, see the ball sail above the bar, above the head, and out of the stadium? That was me. But the point is that I gained experience by doing. And it's something to put into my toolbox to share with others and to also be empathetic as everyone participates in a contest. Going up to the 4th and 5th levels of a Pathways program requires more than just standing in front of others and giving a speech. It also may require working with others. And you might have to go back to your leadership and communications projects to step out of that comfort zone of that one particular style that you're used to and embrace a few others to work with the team, especially as you're forming, storming, norming, and performing. One example that I did was preparing a base camp manager presentation, a question and answer period for people in my district. Sure, they can do the process your projects and approve that. That's about 95% of what a base camp manager can do. But what about using the reports that are in base camp manager? What about situations that a base camp manager can use and that the tools that are available there can help them solve problems? That's what I wanted to include into that presentation, such as what if a club officer gives the wrong award using to a fellow Toastmaster? What do you do? I simply told them, contact the education department at Toastmasters International immediately to get that corrected. And they can do that. I just recommend you don't do it the last 2 weeks of the Toastmasters year in June. So overall, there were several lessons that helped me to grow out of my comfort zone by embracing different types of leadership, including taking the initiative when problems fall on your feet to encourage others to help them solve the problems. It's also important to be proactive. And it's important to what you learned is that you learn to give back. What happens? A growth in confidence. As one Toastmaster to another, in leadership speak, this is our environment to help each other grow in our comfort zones. Let me know how I can help you. Over to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Ho, 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 ho.
Oh, ho, 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 ho.
Thank you, Ray. Now, our third fabulous speaker is Toastmaster Sudarshan Seshadri. He hails from United Arab Emirates, is a banker by profession, and also he is a Toastmaster since 8 years. He is a fabulous speaker. I welcome Toastmaster Sudarshan Seshadri. is evaluator is Toastmaster Marianne. Toastmaster Marianne would give details about the project.
Thank you very much, Mr. Toastmaster. So Sudarshan will speak today from Strategic Relationship Pathway, Level 1, Evaluation and Feedback Project, and this will be his first speech. So based on this, after this speech and based on my evaluation, he will redo his speech and present it again at a later time. So I will look for his facial expression, pauses, voice modulation, and transition, which he specifically asked for. And I will look for everything else as well. Thank you very much.
Toastmaster Sudarshan Seshadri, ironing the inner leg. Toastmaster Sudarshan.
You are muted.
I was speaking on mute. Fantastic. Appa, can I please have my trouser? I need to go down and play with my friends. Enough of your ironing. Please stop. I looked at my son and said, just wait. You will enjoy the game of football a little more once I finish. No. I need my trousers now. So I quickly brushed both sides, handed it to him. Out he went for his game. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, how many times in life have you waited for your trousers to be completely ironed before you could step out of home? Let me tell you what happened with me about 40 years back. 40 years back, I was the little kid, impatient to go out and play, and it was my father who was pressing my trousers because he wanted me to look the part when I went out. I threw a tantrum. I literally rolled on the floor, then forced him to give my trousers to me. I wore the trousers, ran out of my house, joined my merry gang of friends, and the whole evening I was doing a dance involuntarily. Sometimes I was going like this, sometimes I was going like that, sometimes I was sitting down, sometimes I was trying to pull my trousers up. I didn't realize what was causing the problem. But when I came back home that evening, I still very vividly remember the scars that were there on the insides of my legs. And my mom looking at me and laughing and said, you should have given your dad a few extra minutes. But why is it relevant? Why is what happened 40 years back so relevant to today? Fellow Toastmasters and guests, this represents each and every one of us, especially us self-directed leaders who choose to walk the paths that they have beaten for themselves and who are trying to transform the world in the quest to self-actualize ourselves. We forget that God lies in the details, or comfort lies in ironing your inner leg. You know why it is so relevant? The inner leg of your trouser has the thickest seam in the entire trouser that you wear. And if that seam is not straight in line and well pressed, it will cause you immense discomfort, which no one in the world except you will know. And when will you come to know of this? Only when you wear your trousers and go out of your home. Imagine wearing an uncomfortable pair of trousers and trying to catch the bus or train, or even trying to drive your car for long distances. It will be immensely uncomfortable, but no one in the world is going to see it. That metaphor serves us well in everything else that we do. How do you mean? Very, very simple. Imagine you have taken on a new responsibility. You have been bequested with something that you're going to lead further. And you've made all your plans. Everything is ready. You're raring to go. That one bit of something that you didn't see will come back to bite you where you can't see, where you can't scratch, where you can't reach, but it will cause you so much difficulty that you will want to pull back and check what went wrong. And when you look back at it, you will realize your inner leg was not ironed. And that is where the cookie crumbles. So many times in life, we start the new year with a bunch of resolutions. The most common one among them being, I shall lose weight. The next one being, I shall become regular to the gym. Something similar, I will read 200 books in a year. Reading 200 books is not difficult. There are people upon people upon people who do that. But guess what they do? They plan it out in such a manner that they give themselves time every evening to spend 45 minutes reading their precious book. And this is precisely the inner leg planning that you need to do. Because big things get accomplished when the smallest element has been planned out and you know this is the direction I'm traveling in. And that's when your inner leg is seamless, is creaseless, and in a straight line. The moment you choose to neglect something like that, you will find yourself making excuses, giving reasons, blaming a whole bunch of others because you forgot your inner leg and you forgot to put the iron on that particular place. An example from my own life. I was aspiring for a big role in a big bank. I had meticulously prepared. I had ensured that I read up. I had ensured that I contacted the right set of people to pave the way for me to get in the door. All things done and dusted. I reach the venue. I am sitting in front of the interviewer, who happens to be the head of a mighty bank, and I don't have a working pen. The gentleman says, can you take a sheet of paper and write for me your vision for our department in the next 3 years? I look all over the place and the gentleman just puts his hand out and says, thanks for coming, Sudarshan, we shall be in touch. Which we all know is interview speak for saying, hey, you ain't not that good. Thank you for coming, for wasting my time. And that's precisely what is the impact of not figuring out your inner leg. Everything done, everything dusted. I am the right person for the job. For lack of one pen, I couldn't get that particular role. Even to this date, when I meet that gentleman in a conference or an event, he comes to me and says, are you carrying a pen which has got ink in it? And I say, yes, sir, here it is. That is the power of ironing your inner leg. And if you choose to, you can make miracles out of taking those extra 30 seconds to ironing the inner leg of your trouser, or leaving it be and doing the Toastmasters dance all through the day. The choice is yours, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for listening to me. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sudarshan. What a fabulous speech. Our next, again, another fabulous speaker is Toastmaster Hadi Abdulkader. Toastmaster Hadi Abdulkader is from United Arab Emirates, 6 years of experience in Toastmasters, is the VP Education of Carpe Diem Sharjah Toastmasters Club, and also he is a member of the Talkmasters Toastmasters Club. Well, by profession, he's a mechanical engineer, and by passion, he's a soft skills coach. So Toastmaster Abdulkader Hadi is going to be evaluated by Toastmaster Fabula. Toastmaster Fabula, kindly provide the
Thank you.
details for the project.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the meeting. Today, I will be evaluating a speech from the Dynamic Leadership path, and it's level 1, writing a speech with purpose. The objective of this project is for the member to learn and review basic methods for writing a speech with a defined purpose and to present a well-organized speech on any topic. I will be listening to the presentation and later on give my evaluation on this. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster of the meeting.
Toastmaster Abdulkader, Lost and Found. Lost and Found, Toastmaster Hadi Abdulkader.
Hey, my lovely people. Have you lost something in your life and you found it again? Even finding a $10 bill, we will jump out of joy. Then what if we get something we lost and we found it, if something precious? If you ask me, yes, we will be overjoyed. Like this $10 bill, it was same when you had it. It was the same when you lost it. And it is the same when you found it. But why the perception of the value suddenly changes and shoots skyrocket high? Why? Because when you lose something, you understand its value. Now, imagine what if you have lost your life and you got an opportunity to find an opportunity to be loved and to love the people around you again. Will you perceive your life as the way you value it right now? In my experience, no, because I'm someone who almost lost my life and found it again. And this is my life before I found it again. See, this is daddy, this is mommy, and in the middle, Dia, I just came back from my work. You go to your mommy. Hadi, what do you have on the phone? Dia is waiting whole day for you to come back from the office. Give some time for her. Sharia, you have nothing to do at your home. I just came from work. Let me relax. Hearing this exchange of arguments, someone came opening the door. And that was my father. And seeing his stare, our exchange of arguments finished, and we got the words we want to say. And sometimes I even felt that my father didn't love me like he loved my sisters. April 2020, when the COVID outbreak happened in China, I and my colleagues were laughing at the memes, how they wear the mask and again. But everything is a joke until it happens to us. It all started with a sore throat. Don't come near me. You'll be infected, I told my father and wife. But still, they didn't even step back from carrying me. Ambulance after ambulance came to my home, and they all denied my admission to hospital, considering my age. And I feel I'm lost. I'm going to say goodbye to my family, to my little daughter, Dia. My life is coming to an end. I felt I'm lost. Then I heard somebody knocking the door, and he came and he shouted, Hadi, pack the door. We are going to hospital. And that was my father sitting right at the back of the car. I can see my father, the same person I thought who's not loving me. He is risking his life to take me to the hospital. I pray to God, oh God, please take me, not him, and forgive me for thinking that he's not loving me. And when doctor saw me, what he said is, if you have waited one more day, and that silence explained everything. Looking around, I can see many people are all about to lose their life. They're struggling. And I saw how they value their life and the people around them. Doctors, the nurses, and healthcare workers, they were not just saving the lives. They were saving the dreams, hopes, aspirations of millions of families. strangers, saving the lives of many strangers. What an irony, isn't it? And oxygen. When I was struggling for oxygen, I realized oxygen and love is same. When you lack it, you realize the value of it. Then I got a message. Dia, your father and I am infected. Oh God, why us? Why us? Why me? Because if they are infected, if something is happening to them, it is because of me. I know that. And after a month in the hospital, when I got discharged, when I recovered, and when I go back, when the sun kissed my face, and when I breathe in the fresh air, I thank the Almighty for giving me the opportunity to find my life, opportunity to love and to be loved. I thought it was lost, but I found it. And now the way I see my life is totally different. Ding, ding, calling bell. I could hear Dia's footsteps. My daughter is running the way she usually do. And she came and I asked her, where is that drawing you showed me that day? And she brought the drawing and she showed me, Daddy, Mommy, and in the middle, this is me. And I kissed her forehead. And my wife, she came and laid a shoulder on my shoulder. And that heaviness lightened my heart. And there is my father smiling at me. And he rarely smiles. But that is a smile which I can die for. Oh, my lovely people, when you lose something and you find it again, the value, the perception of its value is totally changed. And for me, my life, the life I'm living now, is something different than when I thought I almost lost it. My dear friends, when you have a life, live it fully. Because what if you lose your life and didn't even find an opportunity to find it again, as I did, to love and to be loved with the people around me. Also you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Well, thank you, Toastmaster Hadi. Toastmaster Hadi is our external speaker today. Now, our next speaker is Toastmaster Tony. Toastmaster Tony is involved in complex communications regarding job descriptions or employee evaluations. I mean, it's one of the most important things for as employees, for HR, getting a higher raise and higher salaries. But so Toastmaster Tony is going to give his next speech. As the evaluator is Toastmaster Azimuddin, who will give more details about the project. Toastmaster Azimuddin.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster of the Day. This is an opportunity to listen to a great speaker on act of kindness. And my speaker is a business consultant, and he's going to speak on this subject, act of kindness. And the purpose of the speech is to practice on his or her thoughts and feelings, as well as the impact of his speeches on the audience. And I will be evaluating his speech on clarity of language, vocal variety, eye contact, gesture, audience awareness, and confidence level. I hope this will be a great speech. Over to Master.
Thank you, Toastmaster. Toastmaster Tony, an act of kindness. An act of kindness, Toastmaster Tony.
Yep. Hello, fellow Toastmasters and most welcome guests. I will speak about something simple that I celebrate today and quite often, as much as I can. And I will try to explain how this is related to the Toastmaster core values. of desire for excellence, integrity, respect, and service to the individual. And what I'm going to talk about is kindness. For me, kindness is the unwritten fifth core value of Toastmasters. It's the quality of being friendly, generous, and considerate. I believe that being friendly, generous, and considerate enriches those four core values. I believe that kindness makes me a better person and makes my Toastmaster experience a more rewarding one. Something happened 10 years ago in my Toastmaster club. It was a combined, spontaneous act of kindness by many Toastmasters. There were no leaders, there were no followers. We all acted of the same mind. We did not need to be coached or guided. Our club secretary, Phyllis, a single mother, was missing. No one could reach her by phone or email for weeks. One of our members, Marie Louise, took it upon herself to find out why. Somehow, Marie Louise got by the door of the apartment building that Phyllis lived in and knocked on her apartment door. Inside the apartment, Phyllis's 11-year-old daughter and 7-year-old son were there instead of being in school. They stayed home to take care of mom because mom was stricken in bed with a serious stomach problem. She couldn't even move. Marie Louise, she looked through the cupboards, she looked into the fridge, and there was no milk, there was no bread, there was no food. That night, 8 of us agreed to meet at a grocery store. Other people kicked in cash. We loaded a shopping cart full of food. It was just over brimming with all kinds of food. Kenrick, one of our members, he paid for that entire shopping cart of groceries. He wouldn't accept money from us. We took the groceries to Phyllis's apartment and we brought the food in. We also discreetly gave her a roll of cash. We noticed that they did not have a desk or a screen for their computer. The next day, Viola and her son brought a desk. Then Kenrick, brought a monitor screen and a mouse, and he set it up so the computer was working. Other members brought homemade food, and some other members brought winter clothing because Phyllis and her family just came to Canada not too long ago. Wow. Phyllis got better. She got a new job, and then she moved away. However, she did attend one more meeting at my club. I have to say, it was a memorable meeting, one that I will always remember, one I always will want to remember. Yet I remember Marie Louise making that incredible, compassionate effort to find out what happened to Phyllis. I mean, who does that? My God, I'm still humbled by that. What an incredible thing she did. I also remember Kenrick paying for the groceries and providing a new computer screen and a new mouse, for the kids. I remember Viola and her son bringing the desk and others bringing the food and the winter clothing. Toastmasters acting out of kindness, spontaneously, collectively, and individually. But what does kindness have to do with the Toastmaster core values of excellence, integrity, respect, and service? Everything, in my opinion. I believe that kindness can connect all those core values together. Often, I have seen the warmth and passion and generosity of Toastmasters continuously demonstrate that. And it makes me feel good, really good. Like you, I am a member of Leadership Speak. And like me, you also have many stories of kindness. Now, obviously, many of us will never meet in person. Yet, here we are, together, still able to share our passion together. And I have to tell you, that also makes me feel good. I believe that Toastmasters brings out the best in us. Kindness is what I am celebrating today and often. Back to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you, Tony, for a wonderful speech. Now, I request Toastmaster Aswati to present the timing of all the speeches.
Sure, Toastmaster of the Day. Thank you. So for the panel discussion, we had 20 minutes plus 3 minutes of grace time, but we took 28 minutes plus 53 seconds. For the speech by Rivero, he took 9 minutes 45 seconds. For the speech by Sudarshan Seshadri, we took 7 minutes 19 seconds. Toastmaster Hadi Abdulkader took 7 minutes 25 seconds, and Toastmaster Tony took 6 minutes and 46 seconds. Thank you, and over to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you, Toastmaster Ashwati. May I request Toastmaster Marianne to launch the poll? At leadership speak, as I understand, all the speakers are qualified to be voted. And since we are a bit behind our time, or we need to catch up for the time, so the break, I would request, we can shorten our break. I hope that all members are going to agree to it. So can we have just a 2 minutes break? Is it fair enough? Just to catch up the time? Toastmaster Aswati, can you please start the timer?
Sure.
So while the results are getting populated, I mean, everybody can, catch up your tea, coffee, or, your water. I mean, let's start the break and just reconvene back within 2 minutes. Or you can be here and we can chat. It's ha ha ha, ho ho ho. It's Merry Christmas. And we are all, happy. We are enjoying. I mean, just behind my building over here in UAE, and there's a garden, big garden, and we have a fabulous gathering around for Christmas. And Christmas is being celebrated, I mean, amazingly, at a larger scale even in UAE. So I believe that, Christmas is getting celebrated all over the globe, irrespective of, religion or, the taste, the culture, religion. I believe that, these festivals and the holidays bring us all together. It gives us a lot of energy. And obviously, we are always waiting for the presents, either from the employers or from our friend circles or from the relatives. I don't know, people can share their experiences of gifting over there in Europe. How is it?
What I'm surprised about is that, where you are, Asif, it is 7 or 8 o'clock in the evening or something. And and the others are even much later in the evening. And so it's almost like Christmas time, a couple of hours away, where the Santa will come down the chimney, and you guys are over here, enjoying this meeting instead. So that's awesome, and thank you all for being here.
Great. So I believe that the festivals break has another side as well, so while people want to enjoy themselves, I mean, this is a break going on, okay, so does everybody feel free to, pitch in whatever to share their views. So what I feel is that during the festivals, everybody wants to enjoy, and there are people who are supposed to, provide this entertainment avenues as well, right? Like those shopkeepers, those KFCs and, Pizza Hut and the malls. At the same time, emergency services also need to be attended to, the doctors and the nurses, all those people. So while most of the people want to have that, fabulous entertainment, there are people who are already supporting them, and it requires a lot of leadership skills during this time to engage and to navigate, to negotiate, to bring in people all together so that, we have all those fabulous and enjoyment, correct?
Sorry to interrupt, the break is over.
Oh, thank you, Seshadri. So now, Mary, we're going to have a Saiyed and arms.
Yes,
we come in the meeting.
Yep. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, that was a rousing discussion indeed during the break. I'm sure the break in itself was as much a learning experience as the rest of the meeting has been. So in the interest of time, without further ado, let's carry on further with our meeting because the agenda is packed. And to do the honors, I would like to call back on stage our Toastmaster of the day, Toastmaster Mohmad Asif Saiyed, to take the meeting forward. Toastmaster Asif Saiyed, the stage is all set for you.
But the second half is, thank you, Toastmaster Sudarshan. The second half is all about the general evaluation, and who other better than to conduct the general evaluation is Toastmaster Brahman, a leadership coach, a leadership I would call as, a guru. Now he's going to get into that elite club of being a guru of leadership. At the same time, he's spreading his knowledge, he's spreading his energy at Leadership Speak, a fabulous organization of large conferences, the Toastmasters, which is something, not common. It's uncommon to have such large conferences. So welcome, Toastmaster Brahm, General Evaluator.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster of the Day. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow Toastmasters, welcome guests. I'm the General Evaluator, and my job is, of course, to have a team of evaluators do the evaluations for the speakers, and then my auxiliary team, my functionary team will also do a report, and then I will give my final comments. To begin with, we will have my very good friend here, an amazing high achiever friend, Manju Manohar, to evaluate Bindhu Joseph. Manju.
Thank you so much, distinguished Toastmaster Brahman, and all the fellow Toastmasters who are so passionate about Toastmasters that you're all joining this meeting on Christmas Eve. My greetings to one and all. When we speak about consensus, today Toastmaster Bindhu took us through the fabulous process of consensus making, and I was reminded of a quote by Martin Luther King, which went something like this, something like, a leader, a genuine leader, does not search for a consensus, but rather molds a consensus. I think what Toastmaster Bindhu did today reminded me of that quote, because she was not exactly going around in the traditional way of building a consensus. She actually called DTM Brahm on stage, then she had Sandra, and then she listened to all of their points, what points they were making, and then she said the floor is open. We had Sudarshan coming in, sharing his views. And then to my surprise, at the end, she had some questions which were based on what DTM Brahm, Sandra, and Sudarshan actually said during the course of their speech. Now, this was a little bit, I would say, a surprise package for me, because this is not what I was expecting when I saw this project objectives. And it did impress me. So kudos to you, Toastmaster Bindhu, for that. The second thing that I liked about your speech was the great start. You actually started with a quote, right? Leader's quote. And then you told us that we'll be having a panel discussion. And then it went on. So I think you had us at the start itself when you introduced us to this, I would say, intriguing concept of consensus building. I was really wondering, how is she going to pull this off in that too in a club like this, where all our leaders, they all have strong opinions. I really wondered whether she'd be able to make an, bring everyone to that consensus point. The third thing I liked about her speech was that she was always very calm and cool and composed. Whether people agreed with her or not, she just listened keenly. She's a good listener, by the way. She was a good observer as well, and she just took what she wanted from each of their viewpoints. So these are the things that I liked about this particular project. Some of the things I would have loved to see her use in the upcoming speeches, especially on something on consensus, would be, instead of the poll that she used where we had to type in at the end, right? I would have preferred if she would have used something which we use for best speaker, right? Let's have that kind of poll, which would actually add to the professionalism of consensus building, because otherwise you're relying on someone else to count and there could be mistakes too. Okay, so that's one. And the second thing I felt was that even though she had 3 questions with Y or N, there was a crucial question missing. Is the boss right or wrong? She missed that. I don't know whether it was a deliberate one, but if it is deliberate, I would say maybe it is something which you did impromptu. But I would say as a member, I would have preferred if you had that question, is the boss right or wrong? Yes or no question. Overall, I think it was a very intriguing project, involved us all, and I had a lot of learnings from DTM Brahm, Sudarshan, and Sandra, and of course from Toastmaster Bindhu. So great project. Thank you. And over to the General Evaluator.
Thank you so much. Such projects where so many people are involved are very difficult to evaluate and give a fair evaluation. And you did very well, Manju. You began with a Martin Luther King Jr. quote as well that added to the zing of your evaluation. Thank you so much for being able to do a great overview of what Bindhu had done. My comments for Bindhu is simply this. I would give you 3 Michelin stars. Now, Michelin only gives maximum of 3 stars. There's no more than 3 stars. So you get 3 stars. And here's why. I loved your pre-meeting preparation. You contacted every one of the speakers. You contacted me, and we also met on Zoom, and you told me, I'm sure you told everyone else what the expectations were. And that is a leader. This is what we want in leadership speak. We don't want the VP of education running around or the Toastmaster they're running around on your behalf. You ran around for your own behalf. This is what we need to see. That is kindness to everyone else in the group, because now you're being kind to everyone by doing it yourself. Leaders do that. Taking the initiative is key. And then, of course, you also must have talked to the timer. The timer knew exactly how to time the whole thing. Wonderfully done. Thank you so much, Bindhu. Thank you, Manju, for that evaluation. Now, let's go on to Rivero. And I will do the evaluation because, of course, Nurul isn't here for personal reasons. Dynamic leadership, closing the pathway by doing a speech on what you've learned from dynamic leadership. You gave us a lot of material there, Ray, and telling us your journey through Toastmasters, how you began Toastmasters and what you've done for the district, and how you are connecting yourself with all the clubs that you've joined, from 1 club to now 4 clubs, I believe. You are taking 2 pathways, lots of things. There were so many elements of dynamic leadership present in your speech. Now, here's something for you to improve, however, and for all of us actually to learn what the final speech in a pathways is when you're closing off the pathway. What are we really looking for in that speech? The 12-minute speech is simply this. The reflection should be on the path itself. directly on the path, and not a general overview of your journey of Toastmasters. And from time to time, we do tend to make that mistake of telling us about the journey or telling us about things that you've done in Toastmasters and so on, and rather than focusing on the path itself. And especially in an advanced club, it gets amplified very easily for a person like me. Things like, why did you choose this pathway? Dynamic leadership, right? Why did you choose this pathway? And the speeches that you did along the way, how did they help you become more dynamic? That was missing. That is the thing that we ought to pay attention to in an advanced club. So this is for everyone else as well, all the members and those who are, of course, doing whatever pathways you're doing and you're about to finish a pathway. Why did you choose this pathway? Not for fun. I'm sure you chose it to learn something from it. The speeches that you did along the way, and the projects, especially in level 4 and level 5, that helped you become more dynamic. And so what was that progress from start to finish? That is what reflection on a path is supposed to be. And that's what I would have really liked to hear from everyone else, from Ray. But I loved your commitment and admire your commitment to your growth, what you've undertaken in Toastmasters and your journey. It is a dynamic journey from what I've heard. So thank you so much for that. And now that is I will end that evaluation and I'll move on to our next evaluator for, I believe it's Sudarshan Seshadri. And to evaluate Sudarshan Seshadri is our Vice President of Education, dedicated Vice President of Education, Marianne Burke, whose home club is, of course, Honeymoon Toastmasters Club. So if you want to go on a honeymoon, go to that club. Back, over to you, Marianne.
Thank you very much, Mr. G. And every Wednesday, 7 to 9, and everybody is welcome. And thank you very much, Sudarshan, for your speech. Ironing the inner leg. I was wondering, what will be this about? And it was a wonderful speech. First of all, you started with a personal story, which is always great when you share something about your life, especially back in childhood. Thank you very much. And thank you for the lesson about ironing. That's not my favorite job to do. Now I know a bit more. And the transition, the metaphor that ironing as a leadership. Thank you very much. Excellent speech. You asked for a couple of things that I should watch out for. So let's go look at those. Facial expression. Your facial expression was complementary to your speech. I commend you on that one. Excellent. Voice modulation. Your voice variety also commendable. Excellent. Except maybe sometimes you have to quiet down. You have a strong voice. Your personality is a big personality. So you have to learn to quiet down sometime. Come closer to the camera and just say something like, I learned to iron my mistakes out. And pauses. Now, this is the hardest thing to do when we speak, to stop, because sometimes people think if we pause, they will think that, oh, he forgot what he wanted to say. But you have to learn to pause for a second, or maybe for 2 seconds. Like when you find out that no pen, no job. But your transitions, I loved your transitions. It was smooth from your childhood story to the ironing, from the ironing as a job to the leadership, and then back to, at the end, another story, your personal story. So excellent transitions. I would like to challenge you to present standing up. And I cannot really tell that you were standing or not, but what I saw, I didn't see actually, your hands. Certain times I knew you were using your hands, but it was just your fingers. But you know, if you're standing, you have that mobility that you can step back and you can show your hands, your arms. And when you have something like no pen, you can come closer. you can pause and look at our eyes. And that was the other thing you asked for, eye contact, which you had perfectly done. So excellent presentation. Thank you very much. And I'm looking forward to your next speech. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mariana. Some points are very well noted on where to improve on especially the Zoom presence there. Thank you. And what I really liked about Sudarshan Seshadri's speech was the message that was embedded in the speech, the smallest details planned, seamlessly planned. And how he ended the speech. Are you carrying the pen with the ink in it? Boom. Really hit the point on the head. That was the crux of the speech. So thank you so much for that. Like, do you guys at Leadership Speak have that pen and that ink is in that pen when it's required? Like in this morning, we have a lot of ink, right? So thank you so much, everyone. Our next speaker was Hadi Abdulkader, and his evaluator is, of course, none other than past district director of District 81 and the winner of the Global Leadership Impact Summit Leadership Award, which was awarded to her on July the 23rd of this year. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome, and of course, VP of membership as well in this club, Fabiola Cleofa.
Oh, yes, oxygen and love are the same. Thank you, General Evaluator. And yes, that was what I picked up of this presentation. Toastmaster Hadi is doing leadership development and writing a speech with a purpose. That is what we need when we want to convey our message. And throughout this presentation, I was looking out for that purpose. When asking Toastmaster Hadi what is this purpose statement for this particular speech, he mentioned to inspire the audience to value their life's opportunity to love and be loved. And yes, I did pick that up throughout the presentation. Very well crafted. Your storytelling capability is to the point. It captured my attention towards driving to your point of what you wanted with this presentation. I liked how you structured it and the details in the plot, in the story. The introduction where you painted the situation with your daughter, you brought it back at the end, it tied in the whole message together. What I would have thought that could have made this better is make the introduction a little bit more concise. I thought you took a lot of time to get us into that scenario, which at one point got me a little bit distracted. When you mentioned it at the end, I thought that you were more concise, so I would have, I can, for my taste, I would have loved that you would have done that more concise, to the point, and draw us immediately into the story, which was very powerful. So what I can summarize, your storytelling capability is very strong, and it ties into the path that you've chosen, leadership development, that with these kind of messages, you can really drive into letting us know into that aspect. make your introduction more concise to carry your message. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Fabiola, for that wonderful evaluation and pointing out the key points that need to be improved, and Murray did very well as well. Thank you very much. Hadi Abdulkader, here's my observation as well. I loved how you opened, of course, the speech. Hello, my lovely people. Have you lost and found something? Like, that was great for me. And the clincher was, of course, how people end a speech. You know, when people end a speech on a high note, that is the real clincher. And when you show your family picture, that is a clincher. Loved it. Beautifully done. Here's something that I would ask all the evaluators to focus on at Leadership Speak is the Zoom presence. How is the Zoom presence of a speaker? And here's what I have to say. Loved Hadi's Zoom presence, the lighting, the sound, the microphone, vocal variety, eye contact. You had it all. Oh my goodness, wonderful, except for your left hand, which was putting on a desk. The desk was probably near you, a tall desk, I think, and that you should be avoiding. I'd like to ask, what's the microphone you're using? Put it in the chat. I loved your microphone. Now, our next evaluator for Tony. Kindness. Wow, what an awesome speech. But I don't want to preempt the evaluator who is going to be our Mohmad Azimuddin, who's recently immigrated to Canada, and now he's in Sudbury in the mining town of Canada. Mohmad Azimuddin, please, welcome.
Thank you very much, General Evaluator. This is my opportunity to evaluate a wonderful speech. I will call it very interesting speech. And this was from the Dynamic Leadership Level 3. And this was an elective speech delivered by Bratschitsch, Tony Bratschitsch. So it was interesting in many sense. And I would like to evaluate the speech in several folders, like content of the story, how he achieved his objectives, what was his delivery of the speech, and what was the message. So my speaker brought an interesting story of kindness. And the story was in this way that a lady who had no food and cloth, and some Toastmaster helped her. And this was the act of kindness. So how he achieved his objectives. So he used very closely all the 4 values of Toastmasters International and related his story of the act of kindness with these 4 values. And he was really very successful to create the impression that, yes, these 4 values actually teach us the act of kindness. And here he is with his story. The delivery part, I see that voice was very clear and eye contact was on the screen. The gesture was only limited to the hand. And he had really very good confidence of his speaking. And he was also aware of the audience, because audience all are Toastmasters, and they understand 4 values of Toastmasters International, 4 core values of Toastmasters International. I have a point of improvement here in delivery that while you are talking about opening the refrigerator, you could use a good choreography and open the refrigerator and see. And to her surprise, she could not find anything in that. And you could use a combination of your voice modulation and your gesture. That could really create an impact on the audience. And it would just uplift your story. So in the message that you believe is excellent, your belief is really very excellent about kindness. And Toastmaster can bring the best in everyone. You share the passion with your audience, but these are all the general purpose of the story. Where is the specific purpose of your message? The specific purpose means at the end that will be some message that we understand that, okay, this is the act we will do after listening your speech. That was missing. Above all, this was really a good piece of interesting story created the feelings of kindness and your respect, and your story has really great impact on the audience. Keep it going. Give the best of your storytelling ability and skills, kindness and leadership to every Toastmaster. Over to General Evaluator.
Thank you. We are hearing Mohmad Azimuddin for the first time ever in this club. Wonderfully done, structured evaluation on, and where you could have improved on, however, Mohmad, was the content. I mean, you did mention at the end of the takeaway part, but how was the content structured throughout? And was it according to how a leader should come across when they're speaking of kindness? Tony, we hear a lot about on LinkedIn. If you hang out on LinkedIn, there's a lot of posts on leaders to be kind, not only at this time of the year, but throughout the year. There's more kindness being mentioned on LinkedIn these days that I say. And so, but a very Christmassy story as well, you know, reminded me of Tiny Tim somehow. And how, you know, kindness brings the best from us. And I believe that's as you said, Tony, this is the fifth estate of Toastmasters. Absolutely, you are right. The fifth estate, being kind, and it is part of what I always preach: connect. And connection only happens when people get that kindness. So that's wonderfully done. Thank you so much, everyone. I will now go on to the general evaluation, but before that, please vote for the best evaluator. You will see the best evaluator already on the screen. Thank you so much, Sergeant at Arms or Marianne, whoever put that up. So please go ahead and vote for the best evaluation currently. Now, here's something while that is going on. I will ask the timer for the timer's report.
Thank you so much, General Evaluator. So our evaluator, DTM Manju, she took 3 minutes and 50 seconds. DTM Bram, you took 2 minutes, 30 seconds. Toastmaster Marianne took 3 minutes, 21 seconds. DTM Fabiola took 3 minutes, 22 seconds. And Toastmaster Mohmad Azimuddin took 3 minutes and 18 seconds. That's all from my side. Over to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you very much for that. Now I will move on to our grammarian, Sandra Valks. Madam Grammarian.
Thank you. I think people picked up on the ho, ho, ho. That they didn't have to say ho, 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 except that our Toastmaster got us going on it. But I'm really pleased that Mirth, I heard it once or twice, but the fun that was here today was really wonderful. And that was the whole idea of choosing the word mirth and getting some laughter and smiles included. In the general eval, or the general process of grammarian, at our club, we count the ahs and ums and all that, and I didn't do too much of that. Congratulations to our Toastmaster. Laughter yoga, and you hide it in the bathroom? And even a business can have a little laughter yoga around the boardroom, used judiciously. Because when things have to be done precisely to be safe and on track, yes, gravitas works. One little point for you, Mr. Toastmaster, you used a more high level. More high is not grammatically correct. You would say a higher level, higher level. And on the word deprived, it's a real challenge to put the v sound in there, deprived. So each time I heard you say it was deprived. So a challenge for you. But you had a lovely energy and a smile, and you really kept the meeting up with your bringing in the laughter. And the toast from Brahm, I must say, Brahm, I didn't count ahs and ums because I didn't hear very many, but you did get the winning of it. You do a lot of ah. And sometimes it's tucked in behind and ah. Ah, 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 in ah, and repeated words. And then, and ah. Picking on you. but your energy was amazing. Thank you. Collaboration, that was one word I had challenge with, collaboration. When you first said it was calibration, and I had to think for a second, grab it. So it's collaboration. And again, any mispronunciation is just that it stops us and gets us thinking while you're moving along. Other than that, everybody was well paced, very low on filler words. Generally, I have to congratulate Leadership Speak because you all demonstrate cooperation, collaboration, and supportive raising of the bar. Merry Christmas, everyone. Thank you. Over to, who am I over to now? Toastmaster.
Thank you very much. That is
I generally evaluate it. Thank you.
yes. Now let us see. Where am I at? I think I'm at a place where I can give my overall evaluation. That's where I'm at. So that is a good thing, so that we can then finish the meeting. I know we are running out of time. We already passed the time. It's 10:32. I will not this time take too much time to do the general evaluation because we're all in a Christmassy mood and we should keep that up. So, ladies and gentlemen, please relax and go, ho, 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 Merry Christmas, everyone.
Oh, 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 Merry Christmas, everyone.
So here's my bag of presents for you all. Ladies and gentlemen, we started at 9:31. The Sergeant at Arms opened the meeting at 9:31. We should have been ready at 9:30 and go. The Sergeant at Arms normally at a Leadership Speak doesn't need a prompt from anyone. I think that because of the different cultures and so on, and the different clubs operate differently, at Leadership Speak, everyone takes the initiative for where they are at and what they're supposed to be doing, and just keep doing that. That is the expectation. That's why it's called Leadership Speak. Here's the thing. For most people who want to become members or who already are members and still trying to ingrain what it is, first it's an advanced club, which is hard enough. It's an advanced club. We expect advanced, but it's also a leadership advanced club, which is really way out there in terms of how we have to raise the bar. That's why you're here, to raise your bar to that level. So it's like double the bar raising here. So welcome to Leadership Speak. Meeting should start at 9:30. Show your slide without the video on. This for Sergeant at Arms. And as soon as you've read the instruction on that this meeting is going to be recorded, hit the record button and then open the meeting by welcoming people and start with the meeting. And of course, spotlighting and all that is part of that. I don't know if somebody contacted you. I mean, you've been a Sergeant at Arms before once, but I don't know if somebody contacted you again just to remind you of the procedure. But if you looked at your notes from last time, it was all there. So that's what I was wondering, whether the instructions happened or you reached out to somebody and so on. Toastmaster of the day, Toastmaster Asif, great intro, wonderfully done. You actually touched on the theme and you had written a theme that was posted on social media. Here's the thing for our guests and for members who've never become a Toastmaster of the day before. When you become the Toastmaster of the day, you are the team leader, and you're supposed to connect with your whole team, and you're supposed to come up with the theme, write content of 150 words for the theme, and it's posted on social media. And when you open the meeting, that theme should be present through the meeting in terms of how you speak and open the meeting and so on. And that was very, very well done, Toastmaster Asif. The dropped role by Nurul, we knew about it around 7 o'clock. I don't know why it was not put in the Leadership Speak meeting WhatsApp group. Some of that got dropped. Nurul should have just put it there because the Toastmaster Day is the one that she should be communicating with. So those are just my brief overview of the meeting. On the other hand, what really went well, what I want to say is that everything really went well besides those minor problems. Especially if you're a guest here, you'll notice how efficient and effective our meetings run. And except for today, we are relaxed. We don't mind going a little bit late. My toast was longer than it should have been because I was just relaxing and really wanted to get the mood going about ho, ho, ho. So I took a lot more time so that people get in that Christmassy mood, that this is not that one of our serious meetings. We need to relax once in a while. Actually, we should relax every time, and still have excellence present. So if you can relax and have excellence present, Kudos to you. That is the club that I want to be in, that is relaxed and yet that excellence, how we begin, how we are through the meeting, and how we end the meeting is totally at the next level of excellence. And we look and people see us and perceive us as leaders. So with that, I will now pass it back on to our wonderful, awesome. Thank you so much. You've done this for the first time. You haven't been a member for too long, Toastmaster of the Day, Asif, but you have conducted this meeting wonderfully. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Brahm. I think it was such a fabulous meeting. Christmas time, we all enjoyed, and we are all going to break. Once we go out of this meeting, we're definitely going to connect with all our families and friends and close relatives. Important part of leadership is rejuvenate yourself, get a lot of energy, obtain the calmness because of this festive spirit. Connect with whatever spiritual access you have. A fabulous meeting in a Toastmasters Club helps us to grow as a leader. And that's what I took up the opportunity. It was suddenly available to me and I grabbed it. There might have been some of the mistakes. I learned from it, and I'm going to still grow much and much more further. Today, the best speakers, if I have to announce, the best speakers today, there's a tie between the two Toastmasters, fabulous Toastmasters Bindhu Joseph and Toastmaster Sudarshan Seshadri. A very round of applause, big round of applause for them.
Well deserved.
And the best evaluator, Toastmaster Marianne. A big round of applause for her. So while Toastmaster of the Day is just like table topics for me, if you give me enough time for doing speeches, I really love that. This is that uncomfortable area which I stepped into it. Thanks a lot for everyone to support me in this journey. I really learned a lot, and I'm going to take this Toastmaster of the Day role to much more higher levels in my public speaking journey and leadership skills. I'm wishing you all a Merry Christmas. Have a nice day or evening, whatever you call, or back to you. How do you want to close the meeting, Toastmaster Brahm?
Thank you so much for that. I will adjourn the meeting, but I will ask the guests to stay on because it is 10:39, of course.